Let me just start my video, please.
Your video?
I don't think you ready for this jelly. I don't think you ready for this jelly. I don't think you ready for this jelly. Cause my videos are bootylicious, baby. What's going on, everybody? Here's a video that the Donut and the Mike the Sovereign would love, because this is who they would consider a sovereign citizen, because this guy believes that he's free to travel upon the roads he pays for without paid permission from the government. In other words, they would call him a sovereign citizen because he doesn't want to pay for permission. In other words, obey traffic code. Because he believes, through all his research in the Supreme Court decisions, that traveling is a matter of right, whereas driving in a commercial sense is commerce. And since commercial vehicles are conducting commerce upon the people's highway, they need paid permission, a license. A license is permission to trespass or use someone else's property to earn a profit. So commercial vehicles, taxis, buses, semi-trucks, etc., are using the people's highways to engage in commerce, aka operate motor vehicles, aka drive. So this is going to be a kind of a long video. I'm not going to interrupt too much, except here and there. And if you don't like it, go to the Facebook page and watch this without me. For the rest of you, hang on tight. This is fantastic. Hey, Audit the Audit, where you at? Hey, Donut Operator, where you at? Hey, Mike the Sovereign, where you at? This guy has documentation, and wait till the cop's explanation of why he doesn't care about the Supreme Court decisions and the actual rulings and all that stuff.
What's that?
Let me just start my video, please.
Your video?
Yeah, I'm just going to record this interaction.
Okay. I need your license and registration.
What makes you believe that I need that to travel from point A to point B?
Because you have no license on your no license plates on your vehicle, sir.
Would you like to see my paperwork?
Yes, I would. I asked for it 2 seconds ago.
That's not what I have for you, sir.
Okay.
I have here the definitions from the Motor Vehicle Code. I have the Supreme Court decisions and everything you need here to understand that I don't need a license, registration, or any documentation to travel from point A to point B. It is a right that has been preserved by the Supreme Court and the law of the land.
Okay. Sir, in order to drive in Colorado, you need to have license.
It's not driving. The definition says right there, sir. Driving is doing commerce where you're employed on the road.
ID?
I don't need to present ID unless I'm in the commission of a crime, sir. I have not committed any crime.
You violated traffic law in the state of Colorado.
The definitions are right there, sir. If you'd like to go to court, we can handle it.
I need your ID, okay? I need your license, insurance, registration. You're operating a motor vehicle.
Did you even look at my paperwork at all?
Sir, I'm looking at your paperwork.
Did you read the definitions? The Motor Vehicle Code definition is in there. It says driving is doing commerce on the roadway. I am not doing commerce. I am not employed.
Can you start another?
If you could please get a supervisor out here, I'd appreciate it, sir.
Okay, do me a favor and turn the car off then. I'll get a supervisor out here for you. Okay?
Oh, I'm not going anywhere, sir.
Okay, can you just turn the car off for me then?
Am I obligated to turn my car off? I'm not intending to go anywhere. I'd like to handle this matter and settle it right now. I have no reason to leave. Why would I do that?
Okay. I'm getting another unit out here per your request.
Sure.
Okay. All I asked was to see your license, insurance, registration.
I'm telling you that I don't have such because I'm not required to by law. It's been upheld. It's been upheld by the
state of Colorado. You are required to have a license, insurance, registration.
It's federally been upheld.
Motor vehicle on state roads.
The definition is right there from the Motor Vehicle Code. Driving is defined as doing commerce on the roadway employed by somebody. I am not employed to do commerce on the roadway. I am traveling in my private property from point A to point B, which, as it says in there, is my right to do so, upheld many times in the Supreme Court.
Just hang out for a second.
Sure, no problem, bud. Just got stopped by one of the officers here, so I am recording. Yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. Gave him my paperwork, and yeah.
I'm going to ask you one more time for your license, insurance, registration. Okay?
Sir, there's no circuitous route here. I'm telling you.
Can you at least tell me your first and last name and date of birth?
I don't believe that I'm obligated to give you any of that information unless I'm in the commission of a crime. If I'm wrong, please produce a law for me. I'm entitled to see the law if that's the law. This is nothing personal. I have no issue with you. I'm simply trying to abide by the law of the land and by the motor vehicle code and by all the rights given to me in this country.
I don't know what motor vehicle code you're following, but in the state of Colorado, you need to have a license, insurance, and registration to operate a motor vehicle on state roads.
Okay, can I give you the definitions of that by Black's Law's Dictionary? Operating a motor vehicle is defined
That's
in...
not the dictionary I follow, man.
See, this is where I get angry. These aren't the definitions we follow. We don't follow legal definitions. If a driver is someone who's employed to take cargo or people from point A to point B, then he's employed. An operator is someone who runs a company or transportation company. It's transportation code. And if you're not transporting goods or humans or something, then you're not engaged in transportation, and the transportation code doesn't apply to you. All the things he's saying, that you have to be a license to operate a motor vehicle, those are all commercial terms. And this needs to be exposed. It's not sovereign citizen stuff. It's literally freedom versus tyranny. And it's right here on our streets, and it needs to stop.
That's what, then you have a conflict of interest with the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court, which is the highest law of this land, follows Black's Law's Dictionary. So I'm not interested in contracting with you or following anything that you follow. Like I said, even in the motor vehicle code, which you guys are following as a corporation, the Supreme Court is beyond that. But let's just take the motor vehicle code. The definition of my understanding of a motor vehicle is a vehicle that is doing commerce on the roadway. It even gives definitions in the code. It says tractor, trailer, bus, or a taxi, right? Taxi driver, bus driver, truck driver. I am not a driver because I'm not transporting or in the act of trafficking any goods or peoples. Let
me ask you a question. What were you doing right there on Colfax then? Operating the motor vehicle. Would you consider yourself a driver?
No,
of a motor vehicle?
Absolutely not. A driver by definition. I understand there's a colloquialism that we don't understand here, or maybe they haven't told us or we don't understand, but the word driving by definition means you must be employed by somebody. So I was not driving. I was traveling in my private property from point A to point B, which, like I said.
So this guy is literally traveling from point A to point B in his private property by definition and by legal definition. But cops and TV watchers and people who vote for the two parties will say that you're a crazy kook, that you want to have just to be able to freedom to have freedom to go about without being impeded by guys in costumes and guns. You're crazy that you want that kind of freedom. What do you think this is, some type of free country?
The Supreme Court has upheld many times I have the right to do so. If I was, let's say, doing Uber or some form of hauling goods or services on the roadways, then yes, the government has a right to know that I can operate the roadway to do that business and then tax me, of course. But I'm not doing such. I'm traveling from point A to point B in property that I purchase privately and legally and lawfully.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is your name, man? Why do you not want to identify yourself?
Someone hasn't been listening for the last 7 minutes, obviously. He's told you everything already.
I just believe that nothing personal to you. I have had some incidents in the past where any information that I give, as you know, can and will be used against me in a court. And I don't believe that I have any necessity to give any information.
You see my name, right?
But you're required to produce your name because you are a government employee. It actually says I can ask you for 3 forms of ID, which you have to produce. You cannot ask me for, this is by my understanding of you guys' contractual law to uphold the Constitution and even the codes, quote unquote, of the state and the city. My understanding of that is I am not required to provide any of that information unless I'm being charged or some kind of crime is suspected, which I don't believe.
You're being charged for violating traffic code right now.
If you want to bring those charges, that's fine. But when we go to court and they convict me in the local court, I will go to Supreme Court and you will be held accountable and liable for those charges, just like a credit card. You cannot bring charges and not be held liable for them because the responsibility and onus is on the person bringing them. So I would hope that you'll be able to prove in a court of law, based on case law and everything else, that I don't have a right to see, this is the game. I don't have a right to take my private property from point A to point B, which like I said, the Supreme Court ruling is in that documentation I gave you. All the definitions are there. So I'm not coming from my own manifestation. I'm not coming from something that I want to be true or made up. I've read the definitions. I've gone through the case law. I've looked at the Supreme Court decisions. It's expressly stated in there. The law is expressed, not implied. This is my understanding of it. You know, I'm a man who does no harm, and that's how I live my life. I live my life by truth and doing no harm. The law.
Literally the exact opposite of how a policeman lives his life.
The law of love. You know, I have no issues with you or anybody else, and I'm not in the doing anything wrong at this time. I've caused no loss, injury, or harm to anybody. I'm taking my property from point A to point B.
Do you live in Lakewood, Denver? Where do you live, man?
I would rather not answer any questions, sir.
Okay. Do you live in the state of Colorado?
I'd rather not answer any questions.
Okay. Well, you're operating a motor vehicle in the state
I'm
of
not
Colorado.
operating a motor vehicle. Motor vehicle is defined in the paperwork as a vehicle on the roadways doing commerce. This is not a commercial vehicle.
You're operating a light blue Nissan Maxima with no license plates. And
I'm
you're
not
taking a
operating it. I'm
driver's
traveling
license
from
and
point A to
proof of
point B.
insurance at this time.
Then I guess we have a disagreement in the understanding. I've presented you paperwork. You've presented me nothing other than your understanding. So my understanding is backed by definitions, Supreme Court rulings, and the Motor Vehicle Code. You've given me nothing except what you believe to be true. So where can we go with this?
Statements that I've made to you are ones that are produced in the Colorado Revised Statutes
Can you show them to me?
on traffic law.
Can you show them to me?
I can. I'm
I
not going to
mean-
go grab the book right now and just open it up and scroll through the pages for you.
Well, I was kind enough to have all my paperwork and things in order and my understanding here to present to you.
You have not provided me with any proof of insurance, any driver's license, or any proof
Sir,
of registration.
the paperwork that I provided to you makes those things not applicable to me because I am not doing commerce on the roadway. This is
Provided me 3 printouts
of the definitions
From your
of the
computer.
words in the Motor Vehicle Code and the Supreme
from
Court
a school
ruling.
website.
Didn't you swear an oath to uphold the Constitution and the law of the land? The Supreme Court is the highest law in the land, so that one decision that I showed you should be enough for you to either go and look at what I'm presenting again and give a deeper, more detailed look at it, or to understand that we have no interaction right now. Because like I said, there's many Supreme Court cases on file. That is the law we're supposed to follow in this country. We can have disagreements in local court, but these have already been decided upon. The Supreme Court will hear my case as well if you guys bring charges, because I will take it there.
We will be bringing charges.
Sir, again,
For violating traffic law in the state of Colorado.
the word violation in law means to cause loss, injury, or harm. It also means to sexually advance on someone when it's unwanted. I did not do any of those things. So, you know, again, we have to get our words and terms in line with the definitions of what we all are agreeing on here is the English language. We cannot use words and not agree on the definitions. I'm not making up my own definitions. The state of Colorado is a whole other discussion. And furthermore, it doesn't even come into this because, like I said, any roadways federally, the people, a man, a woman has a right to use the public roadways to travel from point A to point B. It's been ruled on. You cannot have a government organization who's supposed to work for the people come in to tax the people to use what is the people's. That is fraud. You may disagree with me. I, however, have the truth, the definitions, the facts, and the case rulings on my side. So like I said, if you bring charges forth, I expect you to show up on the day of whatever the proceeding will be. And then I expect you to show up at the Supreme Court proceeding. And we will have a discussion in front of whoever needs to be there about what I have the right to do and not do, since you seem to believe you have a right to stop me and take up my time and take a right off me. We'll have that discussion if that's what you choose to do. I don't believe you should, because I think by conversing with me, you can ascertain that I am an upstanding, intelligent individual who's out here doing no harm, and I have no, there's really no reason to have any issues with me.
Why is that?
Because he's not doing anything to anybody or bothering anybody, dummy.
Because like I said, and we can get into all other things. I don't know if you're interested in all that, but you see where our country's going, and what we're doing right here is part of the reason why. But I'm glad we're doing this, and I expected this, so it's not really an issue for me. I have to stand on what's true and what's right. I have to stand on my conviction, in my heart, and what the definitions and the understanding tells me. So that's all I'm attempting to do.
Well, I think we might have a misunderstanding upon definitions here.
Again, the Supreme Court, it's been the Supreme Court, so let's say we both didn't understand definitions. Supreme Court has heard all these cases, and the judges have ruled over and over again that the right of if you want, I can search them for you right now, the quotes. The right of the people to use the public roadways is an untaxable uninfringible right. You cannot tax somebody, force them to get registration, force them to get insurance. You cannot force any of that. All interactions are in this country are supposed to be voluntary. They're not supposed to be under coercion and duress. Do this or else, you know. And you can't use fear and safety as a reason to take people's rights.
Okay.
You know.
Well, my supervisor's here. If you said you wanted to talk to him.
I mean, again, it's more about what you plan on doing, because if you plan on moving forward contractually, then obviously he's going to be the one here to supervise that whole situation, and then he will be on record to go to court as well, being okay with the fact that he supervised you, stopping me, taking my time and my rights, and then telling me that I don't have a right to do what's already been ruled on I have a right to do.
Okay.
That's the only reason I wanted him here, so that we're all under the same understanding.
Sure. Sarge.
Hi,
How you doing, sir?
Good. Hey, I'm Sergeant Valdez. I understand your sovereign stuff and everything and all that. Are you? What do you prefer to be?
Yeah, I don't even. I don't.
Living man, or how do you?
I don't even like to get into the terms and
Sure,
labels.
no,
I'm just a man.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, just
The
like
living
you
man,
are.
or just a man. Or
Just a
however
man.
You want to do
Just
it.
like
I
you
got
are a man. You know,
Understood.
you're a man. I'm a man.
Understood.
And from my understanding, again, like I told this man, was that
Sure.
I've done my research. I have a conviction in my heart.
Okay.
My mind and my logic aligns with that. Logic, morals, and ethics. This is private property. I purchased it legally and lawfully.
Understood.
And I'm taking it from point A to point B. And the Supreme Court has ruled that I do not need to register, license, or any of that unless I'm doing commerce on the roadways. I handed in the definitions, has all the definitions there, what's in the Motor Vehicle Code and what Black's Law says. That operating a motor vehicle is defined as doing commerce on the roadway.
I understand. So, sir, just so you know, obviously, we don't recognize that within our municipality laws.
Yeah, just so you know, we don't really recognize Supreme Court decisions, you know. Those guys over there. Who do they think they are?
Laws and
It's
stuff.
common law.
And I understand the common law and stuff, but our laws are obviously not in tune with your
Our laws aren't really in tune with the Supreme Court decisions. He's basically admitting that they have a separate set of laws that they follow outside of the Constitution and Supreme Court decisions.
common law and the way it's practiced, so the court's going to have to be the one to dispute those. Do you understand the reason he pulled you over? And
Absolutely
the reason
not.
why? Okay.
Absolutely
have
not.
you been told why you've been pulled over this afternoon?
He
and all
told
that
me
stuff?
his perception, but I don't understand it at all.
Okay. And so we can help you understand the perception of why you're pulled over and what he told you. What did he specifically tell you?
He believes, like a lot of officers
Sure,
believe,
sure.
that the common law, like you just said, does not apply to them. However, this is not my common law. Common law is the law of the land. It's backed by the Supreme Court and the Constitution.
What is the officer's common law perspective on why the stop was initiated for you?
Oh, I would have no idea, because common law is defined as loss, injury, or harm needing to take place in order to move forward. I did not do any of those things.
Okay.
So his corporate law or legal understanding would be that I am an employee of a corporation. I would assume this is understanding somewhere, because again, motor vehicle means a vehicle doing commerce on the roadway. Driver means someone employed by someone to do commerce on the roadway. The code even describes tractor trailer, taxi driver, or bus driver. That's why we use the term driver. Anybody who's behind this is not a driver. A driver is defined as someone employed to do commerce on the roadway. I am not that. I am a man taking my property from point A to point B.
So what is the reason for the stop today? No plates, okay? That's a common thing that we obviously enforce and do with our laws and what we believe in and what we have to do. So the probable cause exists for him, not with you, in your understanding, for him to go ahead and initiate a traffic stop based on the plates.
What is his reason to believe that I'm driving this vehicle?
Well, you're operating the vehicle and driving it, and you were observed driving it. Whether you
I wasn't
believe-
driving. Driving is defined as commerce.
Driving
Can you
is
read the
you-
paper?
I understand your version of it.
No,
but
that's
our
the
version
definition
is
by
different.
Black's Law Dictionary and the
I
Motor
understand,
Vehicle
but
Code.
We don't follow that.
The
law.
Supreme
We don't follow those laws. That's why we're calling you a sovereign citizen, because you're trying to follow the laws of the land and not our laws that let us extort you every second.
Court does. So then
Well, we're not the feds. We don't operate under the Supreme Court.
yeah, but you swore an oath to uphold the law of the land and the
Sure,
Constitution. The
absolutely.
Supreme Court is the highest law of the
But
land.
ours is under a municipality, and ours is under the Jefferson County division. So you'd have to go to the Jefferson County for anything. Has he issued you any ticket or done anything?
No, sir.
Well, exactly. So we're in a common state here of just talking about the
Sure.
situation, and that's it. And you're being cordial, and you're
And that's a
expressing
good
your
thing,
views.
because we
No,
need to have these
Well, that's
discussions.
it. And so that's what he's discussing with
Sure.
you. So understanding your beliefs and what you think, aren't necessarily ours because what we have to practice a certain thing. There's an understanding there. I hope you know that. Obviously, we pulled you over because we don't have the same understanding of what your understanding is of the law. Do you understand that? As long as we have a common agreement on that, I'm good. You're going to have your definition of it is. We're going to have what our obligations are.
But what is yours based on?
So ours is based on Colorado revised statutes and traffic codes.
Remember, codes, not laws.
That we are to enforce. That's what ours is based
The term
on.
trafficking means to take goods from one place to another.
I understand
That's why drug trafficking is defined as taking drugs from one place to the other. I'm not trafficking anything. I'm traveling, sir.
Listen, by our standards and our Colorado revised statutes, you are an operator of a vehicle operating a motor vehicle. This is a motor vehicle. And I could sit and I could have coffee with you and I'd love going into this stuff. But I'm just telling you the way it is and how it works for us. And that's what he's trying to tell you is the reason why you were pulled over and all that stuff. And you said, I'm just a man, I appreciate that and stuff like that. If he's asking you for identification, you don't want to give it, I understand why you're not wanting to give it and why you believe that you don't have to give it and stuff. If he were to ask you, what would your name be given by the corporation or the land, as far as government, is what we see as government, would you have a legal name under that? What would be your false name that you be giving, which would be the government name that we go to that would be given to you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And if you're comfortable in providing that with him,
That's
what he wants.
Yeah, I'd rather not provide anything because again, once I provide any kind of information, I'm contracting with him.
Understand.
And I would rather not contract with him. Again, this first of all, again, we can go back to you guys' rules. Those red and blue lights are not to be pulling people over. Those are emergency lights. They're to be used for people to move over so they can move past. Just by me pulling over, I have submitted to something that I know is incorrect because the purpose of those lights are emergency lights. They're not for pulling people over.
So
I did so because I understand that in today's day and age, that if I do not do that and I go like this and say, go ahead, which is what it actually tells you should do when a policeman pulls up behind you and the regulation says, oh, roll down your window, pull over, and wave him on. I did not do that because then he'll say, oh, you were trying to... I understand the psychology of how most officers think.
Well,
I understand...
You complied and you pulled over and stuff, and that's a start.
Because I want this interaction.
Well, that's
I
great.
want the
And
interaction one way or the other. We have to get it on record.
Have you interacted like this in a court of law already?
I would rather not get into that.
Understood, but I'm just, and if you have...
I have a lot of experience in a courtroom and with the material.
Perfect. And so with that being said and stuff, I just want you... So we're not wasting time and being naive on understanding all this stuff. You're an educated man. You understand what your beliefs are. We have our certain rules that we have.
They're not my... Can we just say, I don't mean to be... I'm not being a dick. They're not my beliefs, sir. It's a knowing that I've come to based on eternal truth. This truth is not going to change whether you understand.
Your heart.
It's a conviction. It's a conviction. The same thing the court will have to use to either convict me or not, because it rests in my heart and it cannot be changed by any other man's belief. A belief and a conviction are two very different things.
I understand. I understand. And you hold it true to yourself.
Absolutely. I live by certain morals, logic, and ethics that I hold myself to at all times.
You have a belief in the Constitution.
Not a belief. I have a knowing that the Constitution is codified based on universal law, that no man has the right to rule over any other man. That will always be a truth since the day we came here to the day we die, because it is illegitimate and is based on coercion, duress, and force.
So you have a knowing.
I have a knowing. It is unchanging. I am the same yesterday as I am today as I will be tomorrow.
Okay, and I hope you can respect that. Obviously, we have a knowing and understanding.
You have a belief system that you are adhering to, and it is not in line with truth, sir.
It may not be in line with your truth. But
no, the truth is unchanging. You have your perspective, I have my perspective.
Well, that's just it. That's a difference.
By us conversing, we come to one truth.
Absolutely.
And that truth is unchanging.
We may not come to an agreement on the truth, but we will come to a truth.
The universe has one truth that we all must come to understand. If we don't, we will suffer consequences, individually and together.
I appreciate your cooperation and understanding with it. You've been more than pleasant to deal with on it, and I've dealt with many people that have the same understanding of things as you do and stuff like that. So let me talk to my officers and see what the plan is here and stuff, and I appreciate your cooperation.
I appreciate you, sir. You've been cordial with me. You had a good rapport with me, and you haven't been forceful in any way.
I got no reason why. So thank you for your cooperation. Give me 1 second, my man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So how would you refer to me as Mr. Valdez or just a man? So I know from my education.
Mr. Valdez.
I don't expect you to say Sergeant Valdez or anything.
Yeah, I mean, even a judge, right? Like any man, once you take it out of a man has duties and responsibilities, right? So one of those duties and responsibilities would be acting as someone.
Sure.
Right? So a judge is acting as a judge, but he is a man first.
If you're employed in whatever you do, what's your like trade and what do you do that's your specialty as far as employment? Would you be referred to your title of employment? So like if you were a DJ or something at a club,
Absolutely not.
so how do you
Absolutely
how
not,
would
because
you
that
do
is an ability to respond. That is a responsibility that I take on in order to generate currency in this realm. But who I am and what I am is even beyond a man, because the man is I'm only taking temporary possession of my physical body.
But how do you end up doing it? Like how would you classify your job title and stuff like that?
This guy's distracting me. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. If you had a job title, like how would you classify yourself in a job title? To work, if you do you work?
Of course.
Okay, so you do work and you get U.S. currency and all that stuff like that, and you do have to pay taxes. And
I don't get into all that. I'm not going to get into all that.
Regardless of that, if you have a title, do you have to put a title? If you go to apply for a job, do you have to adhere to that title?
I mean, that title, while I'm operating under that, what would be the word here?
But like
in that capacity, when I'm operating
for a company, though.
Yeah, when I'm on their clock and I'm taking money from them back to commerce, right? If I'm employed on the roadways, then I'm classified as a driver. So you would refer to me as a driver. But if I'm not taking money to do a service, then I have no classification or title. Which
well, that's why I asked you about it. Like if you were a DJ at a club and stuff, and you were taking money from
I'm DJ.
From a club.
I'm DJ jerk off.
Yeah,
you know,
DJ whoever.
On Friday night when I'm taking money and I'm in the club, but I'm still a man first, right?
Okay.
Like I'm acting as a DJ, just like we're all acting, you know, in the world. Like Shakespeare said, you know, all the world is a stage. We're all players upon it.
I understand.
You know.
Okay, so you cover your VIN for the purposes of no identification and stuff like that, right?
Well, I just know the whole routine, and I know that there's always going to be some end road into trying to build a case. And this vehicle is not stolen. This vehicle's not reported stolen. There's no reason to believe I'm not the owner of it. So I don't believe that anybody has the right to.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, for us to not the ignition's not punched. You cooperated. You pulled over. Those are uncharacteristics of somebody who's stolen a vehicle and stuff like that. But I mean, through. And I don't want to get into semantics for us. Through our beliefs of what we have and stuff as far as operating a vehicle on a roadway, it has to be licensed, registered, all the stuff that you already know and stuff, what our beliefs are and what we practice and what we adhere to. VIN has to be present, all that stuff that we have.
There also is officer discretion on all these things.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
if I provide you with an understanding that, you know, leads you to a deeper understanding on your end of what I'm out here doing, and I'm not causing any loss, injury, or harm, then
you've been more than cooperative with me, and that's why they called me over here and stuff so I could talk to you about this, because I'm also fascinated by all this stuff too.
And that's a good thing, man. It's great to see.
Well, I want to educate myself on
it. But that's the thing. You say it like it's common sense. I've dealt with a lot of officers, and they'll tell me, "Listen, I don't even care what the truth is," and they'll tell me, "You seem like a smart guy. Just do as you're told." I didn't even do that with my own parents. You know, I'm not going to do that with anybody in this realm. I do what the truth.
Alrighty then. So he doesn't give up any info. He voluntarily lets this cop look at his VIN. They get into small talk about everything going on nowadays, and they get into stuff that I know YouTube will flag this video for. So go to Pablo Remington Jones Facebook page and tell him I sent you, and way to stand up for his rights. Yeah. There you go. Cool. Good talk. Alrighty then. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Peace. Chicken grease. Coin rings.